Usually when we talk about luxury in the car world, we're talking about increments.
Right, a slightly softer leather, a few more pixels on the screen.
Exactly. Maybe a badge that, carries a bit more weight at the country club. It's evolutionary.
It's all about refinement, taking what's already there and just polishing it a little bit more.
Yeah. But every once in a while, the goalposts don't just move, they completely vanish.
Yeah.
We're looking at a case today where luxury stops being about comfort and starts being about, well, almost a different state of existence.
That's a dramatic way to put it, but looking at our source material for today, you're not wrong.
We're doing a deep dive into the 2026-27 Mercedes-Maybach GLS, specifically the new W880 generation. And to guide us through this, we're relying on a massive, really detailed breakdown from the Car Analyst. And I want to be clear, this is not a brochure rewrite. This analysis is critical. It looks at the engineering, the economics, and honestly, the weird existential questions that come up when you drive a 3-ton living room.
And that's the perfect place to start, that existential question. Because the source poses a really tough one. Is this the most luxurious SUV ever made? Or is it just the most complex?
And does it make the current one, which, let's be honest, is already a palace on wheels?
That's incredible.
Does it make it look obsolete overnight? That's the mission today. We need to parse through the hype. Because when I read the notes, I saw things like calf massages, bowing headlights.
Seats that vibrate with the music.
Yeah, my first reaction was to just roll my eyes. It sounds like too much.
It sounds like gimmickry.
It does. So I want to figure out, is this genuine innovation or are they just running out of ideas to justify, a $200,000 price tag?
It's the central tension of modern luxury, isn't it?
Yeah.
At what point does adding more stuff actually take away from the experience?
Right.
But before we judge the gadgets, we have to look at the bones. Because the Car Analyst makes a very big deal about that code name, W880.
Yeah, let's unpack that. To the average person, W880 sounds like a tax form. Why does the source emphasize this platform change so much? Why isn't this just a facelift?
This is crucial context. When you're just doing a facelift or a refresh, you're stuck with the hard points of the car.
Okay.
The chassis rails, suspension mounting points, the width of the axles, those are fixed. You can change the bumper, but you can't really change the geometry.
So you're just putting new makeup on the same face.
Precisely. But moving to the W880 platform means they have fundamentally altered the architecture. The source points out that the track width is significantly wider.
So the wheels are pushed further out.
Yes. And that does two things. Visually, it gives it that planted look. The source actually compares it to a Rolls-Royce, describing it as looking immovable. It stops looking like a tall, tippy SUV and starts looking more like a fortress. But structurally, a wider track changes the center of gravity, the suspension geometry. It lets the engineers dial in a level of stability you just physically can't get on a narrower platform.
So when they say it have a limousine aesthetic, they're not just talking about the chrome. They mean the actual stance.
It's the physics of presence. You feel it before you even get in.
Speaking of getting in, we have to talk about the arrival. The source describes a feature that I honestly thought was a joke at first. The greeting.
The welcome animations.
It says the car literally projects welcome animations, and the suspension lowers to bow to you. Okay, play devil's advocate for me here. Is this cool or is it incredibly cringy?
It's a fine line, but you have to view it through the lens of the buyer. At this price point, we're talking $250,000. You're not buying transportation. You're buying theater.
An Asian.
You are buying an occasion. Exactly. When you walk up to a normal car, you unlock it, you get in. It's a utility transaction.
Right.
When you walk up to the W880, the crystal LED headlamps do a little dance, the puddle lights project a carpet, and the car physically lowers itself. It's signaling to you, and importantly to everyone else watching, that you're about to enter a special space.
Yeah.
It builds anticipation.
It's the automotive equivalent of a doorman opening the velvet rope.
That is the perfect analogy.
Yeah.
And if you look at the other exterior changes in the report, it all backs that up. The smoother body lines, that massive grille with the illuminated vertical slats.
It's all designed to be imposing.
Completely. And the wheels. We can't skip the wheels.
23-inch standard. Optional 24.
24-inch forged Maybach wheels.
I mean, that is basically a semi-truck tire size. Doesn't that just ruin the ride?
Well, that's the engineering challenge, isn't it? Usually big wheels mean a harsh ride because there's no tire sidewall to absorb the bumps. But we'll get to the suspension wizardry later. Visually, though, on a car of this scale, You need that size just to make the proportions look correct.
Okay, so it looks the part, it bows to you, you get inside. And this is where the car analysts really spent most of their time. They call the interior a private jet lounge. Now, marketing teams love that phrase. Every minivan with leather seats claims to be a lounge. Does this actually hold up?
In this case, I think the comparison is warranted. And it really comes down to the seating. We're not just talking about legroom here. We're talking about the Executive Rear Seat Plus package.
The source highlighted the recline angle, 43.5 degrees. It's very specific.
It is. It's the maximum angle you can safely recline while the car is moving without the seatbelt, failing to hold you in a crash. It's effectively a sleeping position.
Wow.
But the feature that caught my eye, and I know you have thoughts on this, is the leg rest extension.
The calf massage?
Yes.
I have to stop you there. I laughed out loud when I read this. Calf massage. Are we reaching the point of just diminishing returns? Who is sitting in a board meeting thinking, you know what? My calves are killing me.
I get the skepticism. It sounds absurd. But strip away the luxury label for a second and just think about physiology. Who buys this car?
CEOs, diplomats, celebrities.
People who travel constantly. If you've just spent 12 hours on a flight from Tokyo to New York, or if you've been standing in heels at a gala for 4 hours, what happens?
Your legs swell. Circulation is bad.
Exactly. This isn't just a feel-good vibration. It's designed to stimulate blood flow and reduce fatigue. It's an ergonomic health feature disguised as opulence. If you view the car as a recovery chamber between high-stress events, suddenly the calf massage makes perfect sense.
Okay, I'll concede that. It's a mobile spa. And if you're recovering, you apparently need to be hydrated. The source details the champagne compartment.
With the signature silver flutes.
Yeah, the report made a specific point that they are silver and not glass. Why does that detail matter?
It's tactile. Glass is fragile. It feels temporary. Plastic is obviously a no-go.
Yeah.
Silver has weight. It has thermal properties, and it keeps the drink cold.
Right.
And there's a mechanism that clips the base of the flute into the console so it doesn't tip over. It removes the anxiety of the experience. You can drink without worrying about a spill.
That is a great point. Luxury is the absence of anxiety. But then we have to talk about the tech, because sometimes tech adds anxiety. The source mentions the Hyperscreen and the MBUX30 system. But the thing that really confused me was the audio, the 5D audio experience.
The Burmester 4D system.
Yeah. The source says it literally vibrates the seats with bass. And my immediate thought is, why would I want that? If I'm paying $200,000, I don't want my seat shaking like a cheap gaming chair or some customized Civic from 2004.
That's a common misconception. The shaking isn't really the goal. It uses what are called structure-borne sound transducers, basically exciters built right into the seat frame.
Walk me through the benefit.
Okay, think about how you experience sound. To feel the deep resonance of a cello or the kick of a drum, you usually have to turn the volume way up. You need that air pressure to hit your body.
Right. Loud equals feel.
But in a Maybach, the goal is conversation. You don't want the music blasting. By transmitting those low frequencies directly into your body through the seat, your brain registers the richness and depth of the music at a much lower volume.
So I can feel the concert, but I can still whisper to the person next to me.
That's it. It decouples immersion from volume. That's the 5D element. It's tactile audio without the ear fatigue.
That actually makes a ton of sense. It fits the whole sanctuary theme. And speaking of sanctuary, let's pivot to the silence. The source calls this car a rolling soundproof suit.
The executive silence mode.
How much of this is marketing fluff versus actual engineering? The source claims a 40% noise reduction compared to the previous model. That seems massive considering the old one was already so quiet.
40% is a generational leap. And they do it through a combination of brute force and clever tech. The brute force is just materials, double acoustic glass, extra insulation in the wheel wells. But the tech is the active noise cancellation.
Like headphones.
Exactly like high-end noise-canceling headphones. The car uses microphones to listen to road frequency, tire roar, wind noise, and then the speakers play an inverted phase sound wave to cancel it out.
So it's fighting noise with more noise.
In a way, yeah. And it allows that interior to be a place where you can actually think. In a chaotic city, silence is probably the most expensive commodity there is.
But all this silence and luxury is heavy. The source calls the car a 3-ton luxury palace. 3 tons. That is immense.
The tank.
And yet, looking at the performance specs for the GLS 600, it defies physics. You've got a 4.0L twin-turbo V8, about 585 horsepower, and a 0 to 60 time of 4.6 seconds.
It's terrifyingly fast for something that size.
How is that even possible?
Just massive torque and all-wheel drive grip. But frankly, the 0 to 60 time is just a number for the brochure.
Right.
The more interesting powertrain detail in the source was the rumor about the plug-in hybrid.
To silent city cruising capability.
This is the missing link.
Right.
If you have a V8, no matter how smooth it is, there is some vibration, there's exhaust noise. If you can switch to an electric-only mode for the last 10 miles of your commute through the city, you eliminate the engine entirely.
So you just glide.
You glide. It completes the illusion of the magic carpet.
And keeping with that theme, we have to talk about this suspension. E-active body control. The source says it reads the road.
This is my favorite piece of tech on the whole car. It uses stereo cameras to scan the asphalt in front of you. It sees a pothole or a speed bump before you hit it.
And then what?
It computes the suspension travel needed and adjusts each wheel individually milliseconds before impact. So it can lift the wheel up to absorb the bump and then push it back down.
So the body of the car stays flat while the wheels are doing all the work underneath.
Exactly. It isolates the cabin from the violence of the road. The source describes it as floating on air, and that's physically what it's trying to do.
But we can't discuss the suspension without mentioning the party trick, the Maybach bounce.
Of course.
The source confirms it's still there. For those who don't know, this is technically an off-road mode to get you unstuck from sand, but people use it to make the car bounce up and down at stoplights.
It's become a cultural meme. You see it in music videos, on TikTok. It's kind of hilarious that the most sophisticated suspension in the world is mostly famous for making the car dance.
It adds a bit of personality, I guess. But let's get serious for a minute. We've established this is a technological marvel, but we have to talk about the economics. Because the Car Analyst makes a very bold claim about its value proposition.
This is the most controversial part of the report.
We're looking at a price tag that starts around $185, but realistically, fully loaded, you're crossing $230,000. That is house money. But the source argues this is a bargain.
It sounds insane to use the word bargain, but you have to look at the competition. The benchmark is the Rolls-Royce Cullinan.
Which is what, $350 to start?
Starts there, and by the time you add options, you're at $450,000. The argument is that the Maybach GLS gives you 90 to 95% of that experience. The silence, the ride quality, the materials, for nearly $150,000 less.
That's a massive difference. You could buy the Maybach and a really nice sports car for the price of the Rolls.
Exactly. But, and this is a huge but, you have to deal with the badge psychology.
The star versus the spirit of ecstasy.
Right. A Rolls-Royce is bespoke. It stands alone. A Maybach GLS, at the end of the day, still shares its body shell with the GLS 450 that your dentist might drive.
It's the stealth wealth versus real wealth argument.
And that leads to the financial reality check the source provided on depreciation. This is where it hurts.
Lay it on us.
Rolls-Royces hold their value relatively well because they're so rare. Maybachs do not. The market sees them as upgraded Mercedes. So while you save $150,000 on the purchase, the source warns that you're going to lose a significant chunk of that in depreciation over 3 years.
So you pay less up front, but you pay more on the back end.
It's the cost of ownership, plus the fuel economy, 15 mpg on a good day, and the maintenance. This isn't a rational financial investment. It's an investment in comfort.
So bringing this all together, we have a car that bows, massages your calves, cancels out the world, and costs $250,000. Who is the ideal buyer? The source brought up the chauffeur paradox.
I love this point. The paradox is this. If you're the type of person who loves to drive, you like steering feel, you like connecting with the road, this car is a total waste of your money.
Because it isolates you from the drive.
Completely. If you sit in the front seat, you're basically an unpaid employee. You aren't experiencing the best of the car, the calf massage, the reclining seat, the best view of the screens. That's all in the back.
So if you buy this and drive yourself, you're doing it wrong.
You're missing the point. The source suggests if you want to drive, get the AMG GLS 63 or a Range Rover Sport SV. The Maybach is for the passenger.
That's a tough pill to swallow for some people who want the best badge but still want to be behind the wheel.
It requires a shift in mindset. You have to be willing to let go of control to enjoy the luxury.
And that brings me to my final thought on this, and something I want to leave you all with. We spent a lot of time today talking about that 0-60 time, 4.6 seconds, the V8 power.
Right.
But if the source is right, and the industry is moving toward silent city cruising with hybrids, and if the interior is designed to be a sleep chamber, Does the engine performance actually matter anymore?
That is the provocation. We're conditioned to think
Exactly. Maybe the ultimate luxury is the destination. Maybe it's being so comfortable.
That's a dangerous thought. I might never get out of the car.
With a fridge full of champagne and a half massage, you might not want to. So that's the question. In the 2027 landscape, would you rather be the driver and the passenger? Silence. Think about it. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us. We'll see you next time.